Marissa Jackson, and I'm a sophomore at the University of Delaware majoring in public policy. I'm here at the historical Nile Swim Club in Dayton, Pennsylvania, and I hope you learned something new. Africans' true relationship with water was once beautiful, with the amazing rivers, lakes, and oceans the continent is filled with. West Africans who lived on the Gold Coast in the 14, 15, and 1600s were said to be some of the most strong, innovative swimmers of all time, inventing the ever so popular freestyle stroke. Peter de Marais, Dutch explorer and trader, even referred to African swimming ability in his famous report on his Gold Coast expedition in 1602, saying their freestyle stroke allowed them to swim very fast, generally outdoing people of our nation in swimming and diving. Europeans, however, were not very strong swimmers in comparison to West Africans. Swimming ability among Europeans actually went down from the medieval period to the late 19th century. The war began to favor heavy armored knights on horseback, which reduced the importance of learning how to swim, as the armor made it impossible. European doctors also began to discourage swimming, while Catholic Church officials called it immoral as it was often done nude. In the 17th century, the slave trade had begun, and many West Africans were being taken to the New World and brought their swimming abilities with them. Many slaves actually saved their masters from drowning. In fact, before the Civil War, more blacks could swim than whites in America. However, masters soon recognized swimming as a possible means of escape. The Underground Railroad, which was named after slave Tice Davids, actually escaped by swimming as he swam the Ohio River for freedom. Masters began beating slaves out of the water and would push their heads under to drown them if they were disobedient. Masters would tell stories of scary sea monsters and prohibited slaves from teaching their bred children how to swim. This changed the culture around swimming among blacks and instilled a fear that would pass on for many generations. As swimming went down for blacks, it only went up for whites. Doctors were now endorsing swimming and saying salt was good for the body and soul. The freestyle stroke was stolen from West Africans and was now being used by Westerners. Drowning rates were increasing for whites, and this would lead to the boom of public pools and white swimmers in the late 19th and early 20th century. Believe it or not, the first public pools were actually racially inclusive. They were built in large northeastern cities like Philly, New York, and Boston, and were used as bathtubs for the working class and immigrants to bathe after long days of work. Because of this, men and women were not allowed to swim together, and swimming wasn't typically done leisurely, but this would all change after World War I in 1918. Post-World War I, Americans started earning more and working less, from an average of 59 hours per week to 51, which gave them more time to engage in fun activities like swimming. The 20s and 30s saw a huge boom in public pool construction and were now mixed-gendered. However, these mixed-gendered pools would only lead to the racial segregation and discrimination against Black Americans. White public officials and swimmers did not want Black men interacting with white women in such an intimate public space and would beat them out of the water. Black-only pools and beaches were created, but were usually very small, far, and dangerous. Lincoln Beach was a Black-only beach located in New Orleans, Louisiana, heavily polluted with sewage as there were nearby fishing camps. Pools became racial battlegrounds, and blacks couldn't swim without fearing for their lives. However, two protests in Florida would change this fate, leading to one of the most important moments in American history. On June 11, 1964, Dr. Martin Luther King and more than a dozen religious leaders were arrested after they held a protest against racial segregation at the Mansa-Mutter Lodge in St. Augustine, Florida. Less than a week later, 16 rabbis joined a group of black and white protesters as they staged a swim-in in the white-only Monson Lodge pool while they prayed. The Monson Lodge owner caught wind of this and started pouring acid on the protesters in an attempt to get them out. Media reports of this event sparked enough outrage to get attention from then-President Lyndon B. Johnson, and the Civil Rights Act was signed less than a month later. Segregation of any kind was now illegal, but it was too late. Post-World War II, in the 50s, is commonly known as the White Flight era, as white families started fleeing for the suburbs and leaving cities to get away from black families. Cities stopped investing in pools and less were being built. While blacks had nowhere to swim, whites were just building pools in their backyards. Private pools were also being built in hotels, sports facilities, and country clubs, restricting black access. Swimming became an activity for the white elite only. If only there were a club that was built by blacks for blacks so that they could enjoy swimming too.
Okay, the Nile Swim Club was founded back in 1958 when two of our founders were denied admittance to a local swim club in the area. Attempted to join that club. They were told that there was a waiting list, and then they proceeded to put their applications in the trash can. So what those members did was came back to our community and said, instead of fighting and protesting to making them allow us to become members, we came back to our community, raised the money, and in 1959 we opened the Nile Swim Club of Yeadon. It's the oldest African American swim club in the country, and it sits on 4.5 acres of land in Yeadon, Pennsylvania, in Delaware County. It's a very safe place where our community can come out to recreate. We have tennis courts, we have basketball courts, and it's a very, very nice place. And I feel that once you come inside our gates in our 4.5 acres of land, it's somewhere where you can enjoy, your family and yourselves can enjoy yourselves and have a very good time in a very safe environment. The biggest initiatives that we started is our No Child Will Drown in Our Town campaign, where basically we provide free swimming lessons to everyone and anyone in our community that wants to learn how to swim. And not only that, the Nile Swim Club is also very diverse. Teach children how to swim for free all summer long. This program's been going on now for about 4 or 5 years now, and we've taught over 1,000 children how to swim.
On May 22nd, 2021, a ceremony was held by the Borough of Yeadon, making the Nile an official marker and site. A few of my great-uncles were lifeguards for the Nile in their high school years and 20s. My family growing up saw the Nile as a fun place to just be a kid in a safe environment. The Nile is only walking distance from my first childhood home back in Yeadon. After my deep dive into the Nile, I realized that I was so lucky to have a place like this so close by, as I now realize that many other kids were not given this luxury. My family's been a part of the Nile since its beginnings and will forever be a part of its journey. The Nile Swim Club is open to this day and continues to close the racial gap and switch the racist narrative.
If you'd like to support our programs here at the Nile Swim Club, please visit our website at nileswimclub.org. Again, I am Anthony Patterson Sr., Nile Board President.